public restrooms with see-through walls. I'll explain. Hi there, thanks for joining us for Plain English, your favorite way to practice English with current events. Today, it's another article about Japan. You know I love these. And the newest architectural competition in Tokyo. I'm Jeff, by the way. JR is the producer, and JR has posted the full lesson online at plainenglish.com/290 because, well, this is Plain English lesson number 290. This lesson also has a phrasal verb, and that is make out, the G-rated definition, and we have a quote of the week as well. What are the two primary concerns about using a public restroom in a park? For many people, they are cleanliness and safety. Before entering a single-person restroom, you want to make sure nobody is inside waiting for you and that it is at least relatively clean. This can be a problem when the doors are closed and you can't see inside. Introducing the newest invention in public sanitation, the public restroom with see-through walls. It is the invention of Shigeru Ban, an architect in Tokyo, and it is part of the Tokyo Toilet Project, a public-private initiative that aims to redesign public restrooms in 17 locations throughout Shibuya, a district in Tokyo. The project will invite 16 different architects and designers to submit their own unique designs. According to the Tokyo Toilet Project website, toilets are a symbol of Japan's world-renowned hospitality culture. That is true. Japan is famous for its high-tech and luxurious toilets. Tokyo is home to the world's biggest high-tech toilet museum. The purpose of the competition is to break the stereotype that says public restrooms are dirty, smelly, and unsafe. The site also explains that public toilets must stand the test of time and that maintenance and cleaning are critical. The Nippon Foundation, which is sponsoring the initiative, says that its goal is to make people feel comfortable using the toilets and to foster a spirit of hospitality for the next person. The project was meant to coincide with the Tokyo Olympics this summer. Japanese hospitality follows a principle called omotenashi, according to the Nippon Foundation. Omotenashi means to wholeheartedly look after guests. The Tokyo Toilet Project was intended to bring that principle to the public spaces in one of Japan's busiest commercial areas. Mr. Ban's see-through public toilets have already been installed in Yoyogi Fukamachi Mini Park and Haru no Agawa Community Park. Now, I should clarify that they are transparent only when empty. After a person enters and engages the lock, the walls of the cubicle turn opaque. meaning that you cannot see inside. The design aims to make public toilets more inviting and visually pleasing for park visitors. Indeed, they do look welcoming. Here's what they look like. They are small. Don't picture a large building with two big entrances. Instead, picture a bank of three individual spaces, each a bit larger than a portable toilet, but smaller than a normal-sized restroom. One space is for handicapped users, one is for men, one is for women. Put together, the three cubicles are about the size of a newsstand or a small cafe that you might find in a park. The exterior walls and doors are all made of glass. The glass for each cubicle is a different color. In the image I saw, one is yellow, one is purple, and one is orange. When the cubicles are unoccupied, you can see through the colored glass. You can clearly see a toilet, a sink, and, in the case of the handicapped restroom, a baby changing table. They are well lit from the inside, so you can see if there's any trash around or if the surfaces are clean. After a person enters and closes the door, the glass becomes frosted, meaning that you can no longer see through it, but you can vaguely make out the outlines of general shapes. The colors are the same, but you can no longer see through. It just looks like a well-lit orange, yellow, or purple door. The architect's website says that whether occupied or not, the facility lights up the park like a beautiful lantern. The rest of the installations from the other architects will be complete by August 2021. By the time you hear this, I will already be on vacation. I've decided to do a long road trip out west, and I'll be spending a fair amount of time in parks, big and small, and I'll be on the lookout for any park restrooms that are even more fun than the Tokyo Toilet Project restrooms. If you're curious about what these look like, I'll post a link to some photos in our free Facebook group. If you're not yet in the Facebook group, you can join very easily. See if you can remember the URL. Here we go. plainenglish.com/Facebook. I made it easy on you. Just enter that into your phone or your browser, and it will automatically open our Facebook group for you. plainenglish.com/Facebook, and I'll post a picture of the fancy Tokyo toilets. You can tell me what you think and tell me how these compare to the best public restrooms where you live. plainenglish.com/Facebook. Today's expression is to make out. Like many English phrasal verbs, this one has multiple meanings. I'll let you look up the multiple meanings in a dictionary if you like. But the meaning we're going to talk about today is to discern. To discern or to make out is to be able to see what something is. You recognize it. I can't make out what that street sign says. You might say, "Let me get my glasses." Oh, yes, it says Sawyer Avenue. If you can't make out what a street sign says, you can see that there is a sign. You can see that there are letters on the sign, but you can't discern. You can't see clearly what the sign says. You can't make it out. I wear glasses when I drive because I can't make out written words at a distance. I can read just fine when something is up close. I'm doing it right now. But I have trouble making out words and small objects at a distance. That makes me far-sighted. About 10 years ago, I started noticing that I couldn't read road signs quite like I could before, so I finally got glasses. Now, I wear the glasses to sports games, or at least I did, and I wear them while driving. If I'm in a meeting at work, again, something from the past, but I used to use my glasses if I knew I'd be sitting at the back of the room. I needed to be able to make out what was being presented on the screen at the front of the room. Transparent toilets. You can clearly see inside when they are empty, but you can't see inside when they are occupied, at least not really. You can make out general shapes. You've seen this type of glass before. If there's a person behind the glass, you can't make out whether that person is a man or a woman, but you can definitely tell that a person is there. You can make out general shapes, but nothing more specific than that. What is a common scene on television these days? A television reporter or commentator broadcasting from home. And now it's becoming a favorite pastime of many television viewers to try to make out what's in the background, what's in the living room of the person speaking. One of the meteorologists in Chicago on Channel 7, she tells us the weather forecast from home, and on most days, you can see her perfectly behaved beagle on the couch behind her. That doesn't have anything to do with make out. I just wanted to tell you about the dog. But if you see a commentator and that person has a bookshelf behind him or her, it's always fun to try to make out what books are on the shelves back there. The camera is focused on the face of the person speaking. We're supposed to be listening and paying attention to the person, not the background. But sometimes you can make out the books in the background. In one recent political speech, you could clearly make out a biography of Ulysses S. Grant, a famous war general and president in American history. In another, you could make out a book about Van Gogh. That's ironic because while we could make out the book about Van Gogh, it's very hard to make out what's going on in a Van Gogh painting because they are so blurry. The problem now is that the commentators are wise to this, and I think they purposely arrange books and memorabilia on their shelves just so they can appear smart. I bet Amazon sold a lot of very thick books with important sounding titles just as commentators started setting up home studios, but that's only speculation. You can also use make out if you can't hear something clearly. This is something near and dear to the hearts of any language learner. We hear something, but we can't make out what was being said. It's just like a blurry street sign, but with your ears. You know they said something. Maybe you caught a word, but you just didn't understand all the words. You couldn't make out what was being said. Sometimes that happens even in our own language. You might be watching a movie and you just didn't catch a line. Either the character didn't speak it clearly or you were distracted. Did you hear what that guy said? You might ask. No, your friend might respond. I couldn't make it out. Today's quote is from the architect Louis Sullivan. He was active in the late 1800s and was one of the first designers of modern steel construction high-rise buildings. His most famous quote, and I'll give you the full quote in a second, but his most famous saying is that form follows function. Form follows function. It means that in design of buildings, the form a building takes, what it looks like, its shape and size, has to support the activity going on inside. It's no good to design a beautiful building first and then fit some activity inside it later on. No, he said, you first think of the function of a building and then you design to support the function. So here's the full quote now that you know the context. It is the pervading law of all things, organic and inorganic, of all things physical and metaphysical, of all things human and all things superhuman, of all true manifestations of the head, of the heart, of the soul, that the life is recognizable in its expression, that form ever follows function. So says the architect Louis Sullivan. The part for you to remember is that form follows function. So 2 quotes of the week in a row by men named Louis who lived in the late 1800s. We'll have to change things up next Monday. Thanks for joining us for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back with another lesson on Thursday. This one is about Regis Philbin, the man who spent more hours on television than anyone else in history. Imagine that, more hours on TV than anyone else in history. He had a remarkable life on camera and passed away in July. So we'll talk about Regis, or Reg, as his sidekick used to call him, on Thursday. Remember, you can join our free Facebook group by visiting plainenglish.com/Facebook. I'll post a link to the new Tokyo restrooms in there. you can see for yourself whether you'd feel more or less comfortable using these than normal ones. So I'll see you in the Facebook group.